Welcome to the Wolfkeeper, a show that's just about everything that you can maybe think about, everything that you can feel that's inside of your heart. What I need for you to do right now is spend the next hour relaxing. Just stop your day before you go into 12 o'clock. And I just want y'all to close your minds, open your hearts, and relax and go on this journey with me. It's a beautiful place that you're about to go, because I want to make you feel, I want to just open you up and think about some things you never really thought about. Right now, the Wolfkeeper. Come on. Good morning, y'all. Come on. It's the Wolfkeeper show. Get ready. Come on, let's go. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. It's the Wolfkeeper show. Your boy, Torriano Sanzoni. Yeah. Chanelli Nell. My boy Tyrone Scott somewhere rocking the Doogie Dogs. Denzel's in his house. Shacky Shack. And for all the people out there that love us, we love you back. Thank you all. Get ready for an amazing show with the Wolfkeeper. Get ready. Here we go.
All those people out there that love us, we love you back. Welcome to the Wolfkeeper show. We are live and direct from Evangers manufacturing plant. How y'all feel? Great. Oh, come on.
It's Friday. Come on.
Right.
The sun is out.
Have to wake up with all that.
No.
I just gave you that awesome theme music. We are live, and this is like, I just thought about. OMG.
Don't start.
Ideas meal. We have Chanelli Nails in the house.
Hello.
And you know what? Rejoice was saying, like, I've not seen Chanel.
Here I am.
Because some people, because we're 58 episodes in, and I love my squad, I love my team, because I have two of the most incognito people of all times. Because some people don't even know Tyrone Scott's been here for 18 years, but he is probably one of the most ghost-like human beings. He does exist, but to have Tyrone and Chanel
better behind the scenes.
I've never had two behind-the-scenes people as much as these two. So it's super awesome, amazing. Thank you, Pop. So we're live on Podbean. You can download the app Podbean. You can look at us live on Facebook Live, on our Instagram Live, or on our business page Instagram Live. Technology is so amazing. And here we are with the Sher family. What's going down? And Chelsea lately's behind the scenes. another behind the scenes person.
Yeah.
Like a combination. She's
We
like,
don't need the spotlight.
you don't need the spotlight.
More
More
from behind.
TVs from behind,
Make
right?
sure the curtain go up.
Right.
Right.
More spotlight for me.
We'll put you in the credits.
You'll be in the credits. This is an exciting show because we're going to talk dog food. This is really a part 2, right? So last time we were here, we were talking dog food. Whenever I talk to you, Joel, you always bring some new information that blows my mind about dog food. This time we didn't have Brett last time though. Brett was out in the back doing something, but this is you're here in the house this time, and of course the mastermind, the one that really cracks the whip, Holly Sher. So just introduce me. Let's start with Holly. Introduce yourself, and then Joel, then Brett.
I'm Holly. Actually, we're a women-owned company, so
Which is a big deal.
big deal.
Minority owned, you mean?
Minority.
Because like that, we were just talking about that. Like right now, like I read a stat that most women CEOs in the history of America right now, because women are finding that they can't get to a certain spot salary wise. You just started your own company, congratulations! But yeah, cheers to you for doing that, right? Holly Sher,
Joel.
Joel.
Yeah, and I'm Holly's husband. So Holly again is the boss of the operation. In many respects.
How long have you two been together?
40 years.
40 years. Just
Well, we've been together longer, but we've been married 40 years.
been married 40 years.
Nice.
How long have you known each other?
And there's 5 years to that. at
8
least.
years before
8 years with that.
Like
Yeah.
together forever. Like I love it. That's the cool thing about
We
it.
were married when we were 10.
It was an arranged marriage. Like we're gonna go to the dog.
There's some people out there are trying to do the math.
Right, doing like
how old are they, right?
that's another episode, right? Working,
You can do a reality show, I'm
but
sure.
not just working with your husband. You work with your whole family.
Well, we've 5 kids, 2 sets of twins, and then a
How
5th.
do you do that?
Got lucky.
2 sets of twins.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and Tyrone's fiance is a twin,
Oh, really?
right?
Nice.
Fun day, twins, and my mom's a twin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you told me. Yeah.
Twins everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, that's you.
My cousin just
Chanel's trying to
had
have twins.
I'm not.
We always try to get Chanel to talk about.
We guinea pigs that had twins, so when they were younger, no.
That is awesome.
So we work with our second set of twins and our youngest, who's our quality control engineer, and then my oldest son, who is a twin. He comes in the summers and works for us.
So was that planned because you felt that you just needed free labor, so you said, let's
Like-
have children?
Like farmers, the more kids they have, the more hands in the field that they have.
I
Yes.
got multitask.
This is my kind of family. If you're part of the family, you will work. We're gonna put Dylan to
He's already starting already.
make
Cleaning up,
work.
cooking up, everything.
Well, you know.
That's pretty much it. That's where you gotta start.
So this is one of the twins. Is this
Second set.
your favorite?
Oh, of course.
Oh.
Oh, wait,
Oh.
she's
Look at Chelsea can't say it all the time.
Wow, he's actually ranked number 2 right now.
He's number
That's
two.
behind me, behind the real favorite.
Right.
The dogs, no.
When they were all growing up, I used to tell each one, when we were in the separate rooms, I'd say, you're my favorite, you're my tell each one that they're my favorite. And unfortunately, years later, they all got together and they said, Danny told me I'm my favorite. Well, wait a minute, he told me I'm his favorite. And they
Who's
compare
their
notes,
favorite?
And then the chip was up.
So this is cool. Like you guys, he's like, hey, I'm trying to get me.
He's like, I've been
He's
here.
trying to get. And look at him. He's like, he's just a little gangster dog. He's like trying to get
There's
his little. And there's Bentley.
There's a lot of
Working
work.
like a dog.
So later on towards the end of the episode, we're going to do a taste test. Bentley's gonna say which food that he likes the most. Dog eats stomach. And Bentley, I always get him confused because there's so many. We'll take it
Doodles?
personal.
You,
I can't
you get the
even-
doodles mixed
I
up.
can't
So
even
it's,
track.
he's a golden doodle, a miniature golden doodle.
A miniature golden
Because
doodle.
the other golden doodles are bigger, so
There's so many of them.
we left up with a good size.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna
The
do
golden doodles are picky dogs,
Mm-hmm.
so that's good.
Yeah.
so we're gonna do a taste test. Man, so much stuff to talk about. Let's just recap. 'Cause last time we talked, the history of Evangers, what we discovered and found out. This is a fun fact, Tyrone. Tyrone is deep and heavy into the breeding game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the original owner of Evangers was a Great Dane breeder.
And there was some of the trophies behind you.
And there's some
Unfortunately, I
of the-
lost probably 2/3 of them.
Like how, and that's back in the days.
Those
Because
were
the
back
Great
in
Dane was like
30s and 40s.
the Great Dane was the original like big guard dog. So I mean that was like the original like Cane Corso. What you mean? It'd be really hard to find an aggressive Great Dane.
Yeah, that's on the battlefield too. They just send them out.
Yeah, but that's bred out now, right?
Yeah, that's
Can't-
all bred out. You're not gonna get a Great Dane to that caliber with the protection now.
Not anymore. That because a lot of people think they're the gentle giant, but that was the original. My neighbor had with Miss Ethel. Shout out to Miss Ethel back in the days. She had a guard. Her dog, like her guard dog, was this big black Great Dane that just lived behind a fence. You saw it every now and then. But so that person, do we even know his name? What was his?
Mr. Evans.
Oh, that's the name. So something new every.
Right.
Evangers is the last name.
Right.
Fred Evangers.
Nice.
Shout out to Fred Evangers. Like, so Fred Evangers, he started it, and then how did you guys come about then? How that?
Well, he moved here from Norway in
Okay.
1931,
Okay.
and to the site that we just moved from. So we just moved recently. So we were there like 75 years. On
Wow.
the same site that he moved, it was a farm. He bought a farm when he came to the United States, and it was a dairy farm, and it worked well for him to raise his Great Danes there. Started in 1931 and up until when he sold it in 1959.
Wow.
And like I said, there's a bunch of his, people would come from all over the world really to buy these Great Danes, but he would
Wow.
have to feed them, of course, when he raised them. He actually had an in-ground swimming pool where they would exercise on the property.
Wow.
Ultimately, we built a warehouse on it, but when we weren't raising dogs, we didn't really need a pool. But so he was obviously real into Great Danes and raising them, and he was world famous for his Great Danes. And he would have, this was in a farm area, this is a rural area, now it's kind of built up, you were out there. But they would feed him fresh meat, they actually had a slaughtering operation on the premises.
Wow.
And that's what they would feed, and that's how the pet food part of it started, because not only would he sell the dogs, breed the dogs and sell them, but they would also get the food there for the dogs, and ultimately it led into this canning basically for preservation, really. But
Wow.
and that's how it came about. So in 1959 he sold it. So from 31 to 59 he owned it. Another family bought it in 1959, and we bought it in 2002.
Wow. So that's an awesome like evolution of dog food. So original dog food was fresh meat that
Right.
was packaged fresh before preservatives and all this other stuff that started.
Yeah, I don't know how I guess there's refrigeration there because on our premises, the dairy farm, they had some refrigeration. I saw some remnants of all that. But like I said, that's all gone now.
So when they were doing fresh meat back then, what kind of meats are we talking? Beef? I know a lot of times the stereotype was horse meat. Were they using horse meat then?
Yeah.
So horse meat.
Yeah, that was very popular.
Yeah.
That's probably the original raw meat, raw diet.
For the dogs.
Yeah, and the beef, the cow, and I think that
Were
was
they doing
mostly
chicken back
They had
then?
a lot of lamb, they had a lot
Lots
of
of
lamb.
lambs, wherever they had out in those areas, the rural areas, and even the United States now. And what would happen is very often he would buy, or people would have animals on their farms that, there were no more use or value, I guess, but they would be there. They bring them to him, and again, he'd make pet food.
So was he a butcher too? Or he was just strictly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So then how did you two decide like, hey, we want to get involved in?
Well, when we got involved, it wasn't like that anymore. It went to no more slaughtering
Right.
from the second owners. And so how we got into it is now they had to buy the raw materials, hopefully locally. And that's where I came in. I used to supply Evangers with the raw materials, so the
Gotcha.
meat products. My father was in the meat business. He was a wholesale meat packer. So I was brought up in that business, and when I got of age, our family was actually supplying some canneries, some pet food canneries with meats. And hopefully when I went on my own business in I was 31 years old, early middle 80s, I got Evangers as an account, and I would supply them with these.
So this is before you all would buy it.
Well, this is
This
in
is
the
not
middle 80s,
you don't
yeah.
own
We
it.
bought it in 2002.
Right.
So,
Okay.
17 years prior, I was actually doing business with them as
Right.
one of their main suppliers.
Wow.
And as I did business, well, the owners became older, so did I, unfortunately. But I was fortunately young enough at the time. I started at 31 when I started doing business. So they wanted to retire 17 years later. So, they asked us if we wanted to buy it. They didn't really want to put it on the market. They wanted to do like what do you call it, like a pocket sale, like they do houses.
Right.
So asked if we'd like to buy it, and we looked it over, and yeah, we bought it. And we made it was relatively small and a lot simpler than it is now. Of course, now you have younger people, which at that time we were younger people. Now we have our children there. But we innovated. We brought newer kinds of products and concepts to the industry, which is a lot of fun. That's what I really enjoy doing. I'm more of an inventor kind of guy. So not only am I, good with this, the mechanicals, the equipment, machinery, I'm interested in all that and doing business. But I was also very much into creating and inventing and experimenting, and that's what happened with the business now. We've actually innovated so many different products in the industry. We're probably the only innovators in the industry. I can't think of a single other company that's brought a new type of product to the industry in the last 20 years, except for us.
And that part right there is crazy amazing, because you have the foundation of Evangers, that being one, that a breeder designed it, because breeders, that's a constant battle for us. What do we feed the dogs to fuel them, especially in the breeding? It's very specific. But then family owned Evangers, right? And then your family takes it over. You guys are running with it, and probably, in one of the most competitive industries in the world. We did what was the interview we did with someone that was doing, the other company, just a guy that started a yogurt company. But just food and beverages, murder. I've met a lot of people that want to get involved in food and beverage. A lot of times I tell people, don't do it. You can go.
There's a little bit, I didn't get my family business because I was a woman. And that's a true story, because I was a woman.
They were scared we're gonna run it.
Right. I'm not as smart as, anyway, so I didn't get it. So that's why I ended up buying it. Joe wanted just to be the supplier, just to make it, Joe had no interest in buying it. So, but once I bought it, I realized I need help, because there was only 10 people that worked there when we bought it.
Oh, wow.
They made food in the morning and labeled in the afternoon. And let me tell you, as Joe said, you really do need someone. He's very innovative, like me. And I could tell you, since we're talking about taste testing, going back to, I said, okay, I gotta do boneless, skinless chicken. Nobody has it on the market. It was my idea, okay? And here I had the kids, they were young. And I was, me being very nutritionist or whatever you want to, always wanted to make sure that they were healthy and fat-free this or whatever. So he proved me wrong. So he said, this is going to be a huge success. He said, I have to make at least, you can't just make one can as a sample, you have to make a whole batch. So he made 720 cases of skinless chicken. And what happened?
That's the ultimate
We did
love.
a taste test. We went to their shelter. Not one dog ate it.
No?
I tell them, not one dog. We had a zillion dogs there.
Wow.
Well, because it didn't fat, because it was skinless, and the flavors in the fat, and Holly's
But
theory
even the
is,
chicken, like the meat,
yeah.
No.
Well,
I just want to pause. I want to pause for a second. That's like the ultimate love story. I'm gonna make you a few pounds of.
Well, I don't want to say what it cost. It was very, very expensive.
I love it.
I donated it.
Holly's on the health kick, but dogs.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you don't have to worry about the fat content as much.
There's your bar.
what?
You find a man that's gonna make you
Level up, have to level up, right?
Pound of dog food for Bentley.
Right.
No go. But that's super important though, because you are health conscious. I mean, you're not
Too extreme.
right. You're not running around eating hamburgers and McDonald's.
No, I'm the one, they're the geniuses here, so I only did the vegetarian, it's the only other thing I came up with. They're the geniuses and figure everything out.
But nutrition.
But I'm the one who sits there and makes sure that everything's fresh. And
Right.
I mean, we do fresh, nobody else does.
But you live like that personally.
Yes, I'm a nutcase. You don't wanna go to dinner with me, I make fresh sweet potatoes and fresh carrots and fresh spinach and kale, that's why we got all
That's
those
the best way.
mangoes in our, organic. I mean, who would do that? Nobody.
I love that. I love that.
Sit.
So it's not just you saying marketing wise.
No, I do unto others as you want.
When's the last time you ate fast food? So
Not in my lifetime.
I don't think I've ever had it in the last 30 years.
really?
Yeah.
No fast food.
That's
no,
good.
no.
I'm very healthy and I try to do that.
So that's carrying over to that. So that's important because like now you go to buy dog food, like because I just go there marketing, talking
Right.
to people. It's crazy.
You buy
Like,
marketing.
I'm in the game. I'm in the dog industry game, and I get overwhelmed.
Right.
You know, 'cause, like I don't even
Yes.
know. Like I had to say, hey, just pick some foods for me. Like that, I felt relaxed. I finally said it. I had to come to this realization, like why I couldn't pick a food. 'Cause I'm like, I said, Chelsea, just pick. Chelsea's behind the scene. Where'd Chelsea go?
But people are paying for
Slip out.
that.
Chelsea, get back here. But, no, I felt actually calm when I was like, just pick it. Because there's so much that's out there, and everyone has like the best speech of why their food is the most superior.
But they're marketing
And then
companies.
Well, I understand what you're talking about, because prior to buying Evangers, we had just gotten our first dog, Yukon.
UConn.
Who you train?
Who you train, yes.
Right, UConn.
And so I had to go out and find some dog food, so I went to the store and bought dog food. And same thing, I see all these different brands and different ingredients. Oh, here's a chicken, here's a lamb, so I didn't know. I would go and he was only a few months old. But so I'd buy a 40-pound bag. Oh, this looks really good. The ingredient list. I give him some of it. He wouldn't touch, and I said, all right, well, he's not going to eat this 40 pounds. Throw that in the garbage. Go back to the store. Say, all right, well, this one has lamb in it. Let's grab that one. And he wouldn't eat that. And I'm sitting there throwing this away. And so actually, happened to be over at Evangers probably a couple weeks later. And I was talking to the owner, a woman, and I told her that. She goes, well, here, try some of ours. And I said, I don't even know. I didn't think of that to begin with. And
Try who?
some of our dog food at Evangers. And he just got it down. And after spending for hundreds of pounds of
Wow.
food, he wouldn't even eat anybody's, and he did that. And I said, well, now we're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this company.
And what about, because a lot of times, I know a big issue for the listener audience out there, because everyone's like, hey, I'm buying the big, as we call it, the big dumb bag of Old Roy. Because I can get 45 pounds for $20, or I'm buying, Pro-Plan, or I'm buying something that I don't get why I should spend that much on a dog food, because I hear that a lot. It's like, I've had dogs my whole life. Every one of my dogs is eating X, right? Why should I change that particular food? Because a lot of times there's this misconception of that. Like someone just said the other day, we got Dr. Blue from Vet Life. Shout out to Dr. Blue from Vet Life. But he was saying people that don't bring their cats to the vet, there's like they have this misconception that cats definitely people don't. He said are concerned about what they're eating, let alone their health. But what are some things that a person should know about why they should invest in the food? Other than the obvious, like, you are what you eat. But
I'm going to let Brent answer it, so I'm going to preface it by saying what you said, big dumb bag. All right, well, your dog or your cat, they can't speak. So you could put anything in front of them and they get hungry. If they're not going to starve,
Right.
they're going to eat it. But, but then you have to step back and say, am I really doing the right thing? Because your dog or your cat can't answer. I mean, they're just going to eat. But, our mission is not just to eat to live. How about live? Like we enjoy as people, as human beings, the enjoyment of eating. So part of our mission is not only the health and the nutritional side of it, but it's the enjoyment that they can get as, adding a little, enjoyment to their life, enhancement, quality of life, whatever we call it, at least in that small area, as well as the addition of the nutrition and all that. So that's really where we kind of come in. We could feed any animal almost anything,
Right.
because if it's there and it's available and they're hungry enough, they're going to eat it. So, but we got to take it not one step further. We're going to take it 5 or 10 steps further.
So it's enjoyable because with Bentley, I'm like, okay, you're a dog. I didn't think anything of it. Like, let me just feed him. But I'm like, now he's like, well, I'm not gonna eat that every day, and he'll just walk by.
And then some people tell me how, like, when they go to the cupboard, I mean, you could dish out some kibble and the dog will go over there and he'll eat it. But when you go there and he sees you taking this can out and he's jumping around, you haven't even opened it yet, or he hears a can opener going because he knows he's going to get. That's sort of part of our mission.
I'm like, Bentley, you're a dog. You cannot eat what we're eating. And he's like, I don't want that. I want it back.
Well, right. When you can give him a choice, I mean, at least as an experiment, you probably won't do it every day. But
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I think there's feed and then there's food. I mean, it's really comes down to, you want a dog to thrive. I mean, you want them to be around for a long time and you have that love. It's not just a feed that you're feeding to, a chicken or a cow where, they have a very short life to begin with. This is something where it's our pets and we want them to live for a very long time and have a very good quality of life during that process. So that's where when you spend, and our goal is to make it a value-based food. So you spend a little bit more, but you get a lot more. There's a lot of foods where you spend a lot more and you get maybe not, you lose that value. You're spending a ton more to get a little bit more. We run the gamut from being, 5-star rated on any site. But really comes down to, having a good quality food that is, what they say, biologically appropriate for the dog. So something that they need, similar to what they would eat in the wild. So that's the goal, to really have something where you have an appropriate diet where the dog can thrive on it, and therefore they shouldn't get these chronic issues that is just like a pandemic.
Like, I'd rather spend money on the food versus the vet bill.
They're very common. Exactly. It's like you either spend it on the food or you're going to spend it at the vet. So
you just did an amazing thing here on the Wolfkeeper show. We always have quote of the day.
Wait, where's our board?
It's right here.
Oh.
It's like,
Well, the people need to be able to log on and see our
we
quotes.
condensed and Brett, you made quote of the day.
For his own personal use, guys. Like, come on,
There's
so we're gonna post the quotes.
We're gonna start posting the
Post the
quotes.
quotes so everybody can see
Every
it.
day, someone says a thing that we consider quotable. And today's quote is: "There's feed and then there's food."
I like it.
either you spend it at the vet or you spend it on.
No, because that's
That's
the
for
way.
us too.
Some people are humans.
Humans
Like
too, right.
sometimes people, they will just. It's sad to say, but sometimes people will just, they're eating, some.
They live to eat.
Yeah, I mean,
something
it's-
that's not
I said
good for
that, I
them.
said I live to eat or eat. No, they live to eat. We wake up and say, what are we eating today? What's for lunch?
That's what I'm saying. Because people are there. I'm for a lot of people are eating
It's
fast food.
Yeah.
they're
And
eating-
it's a
a whole-
form of entertainment
It's a whole
too.
industry
Yeah.
of making the cheapest food possible.
Right.
and you're just feeding. You're just
And
feeding.
you're feeding, the obesity is huge. It's like over half of dogs,
Mhm.
which leads to other chronic inflammation, which is just gonna compound all these other issues.
With dogs,
it's cheaper,
people don't
too.
think about that dogs. So sometimes people like chunky dogs. You like obviously if a dog is skinny, that people attack that right away. Like that dog's emaciated. I hear that. I hear that. Because a lot of times dogs,
You're not getting sure.
dogs ain't kind of skinny, but people like chunky little dogs. I've seen these little
Dogs.
English bulldogs, these Frenchies, and all
They're so
these
solid,
pugs
yeah.
that are just like they can barely walk. I mean, but they're really obese though. That people like, oh, they have little Petcos in their kitchen. We're constant.
But we have a solution for that.
What's that?
Well, canned food, mix it with the vegetarian, which is very low in fat. We have many
Low carbs.
low carbs, like,
Our goal is just meat density. That's
And what does that
our-
mean, meat density? What's that
a
mean?
high concentration of meat and low carbohydrates.
Now, I see this right here where it says whole uncut sardine.
it's a whole.
That is literally what it is.
So it's actually a sardine
From head to tail.
that's in there.
That's part of our hand pack line. What's hand packing? Hand packing is exactly what it says. We take it by people's hands and we put these whole sardines into the can, load them into the can. They're not drowned, they're not cut up. And then we seal the can and the can is cooked and that's how you get it.
So someone is actually taking
Yes.
the actual sardine and putting it, you don't have a machine.
You came into you were in the plant, right? With the
Yeah.
hand packing?
Yeah.
You saw the hand packing, right?
I'm just only,
You know what?
I'm
We'll put
just
you on,
amazed
next
by
time you
that.
come, you're gonna be hand packing.
Yeah, that'd be a whole nother show.
But I'm not paying you.
that makes me sure I'm gonna make my way in this family.
So part of that hand packing line is.
But why not? Is there some kind of benefit then from a machine not doing it?
Minimal processing, I mean, for one thing, there's a lot of benefits, there's a lot of things about it. Number one,
It's fresh.
it's not been fried, it hasn't been ground, and nothing else is added to it. I mean, you don't need preservatives when you're canning. The preservation system is canning, so there's zero preservatives. So that particular item, there's nothing added but the sardines.
Yeah, our hand pack line is the most unprocessed canned pet food on the market today.
Now this looks
In the world.
chicken and turkey dinner, and there's a coconut on there.
It has some
This-
coconut oil in it.
This just looks good.
It is.
So I mean, so I'm looking at organic chicken, right? Organic turkey, organic liver, now and organic coconut oil.
And it's certified organic.
This is some really good. So can I eat this?
Yes. We're not certified for human production, but yes, you can eat it.
We're not gonna tell our viewers to eat it, but.
You
Don't
cannot,
eat it.
We're certified,
Mariano's
we're
now
certified
is-
for pet food production, so.
but you tell me who is chicken thighs for,
We have eaten it.
Yeah,
If it was a
you
dairy,
tell me who
no
makes
problem.
chicken thighs for dogs and cats, there's no such thing.
The ingredients are human grade ingredients and it's made the same way as if we were a human grade plant, but since we do not sell to humans, we don't take that certification.
I
Okay.
think
On
we
the
should.
meat, yeah.
We
On
want
the
to get this.
meat and
But if-
coconut oil. 'Cause a lot of that we actually get, like the coconut oil we'll get from, or the fruits and vegetables we'll get from a wholesaler that sells to like Chicago restaurants. We're getting it from the same people.
Okay.
Oh my God. All right.
When we eat
Actually,
lunch.
When you think about pet food, where are you thinking the pet food comes from? That's an interesting question. Like, what are you thinking the process is in the raw materials that go into pet food? For your own pets, what you're
I mean, when I think of pet food, like the process, like where it comes from,
Mhm.
I mean, Scary Land kind of.
No one really researched food though, for their pets. Now it's becoming more essential to do so because everybody's loving their pets. But before it's like, okay, here's the leftovers from last night,
Well, right, but here's the thing, COVID is going on now. What is
Yeah.
the safest thing to
Yeah.
eat, really? And listen, we
For
sell
us
way
to
more
be-
dry food than we
Yeah.
sell canned food. Let me repeat this. We sell way more dry food than we sell canned food. But the safest for your dog, even for people, is canned food, okay? Because when you seal that can, it's preserved. There is no preservatives added to it at all. Plus, it's 100% recyclable.
And two, I guess I'm biased because a friend of mine, they made out in rural Iowa, they made their own dog food. But a thing that was kind of disturbing that there are companies that sell meal, and that these different meals would come from wherever, like that roadkill animals that were converted into meal, animals that were coming from veterinary hospitals that were converted into meal, just
Right.
where you get your, like, I know that was a whole sub-market of where you get.
Well, the meals come from rendering companies.
Right.
So those are the companies that are designed to make that raw material. And I was in the rendering industry, and my family's in it many years ago. Not anything negative, but the idea for that is that they make two products. They bring in animal parts, usually from butcher shops or slaughterhouses, like they say, nothing goes to waste. Well, whatever absolutely is left over after the skin and the hide and the meat, muscle, and all the other parts that are used by people, and for whatever other reason, maybe got exported, the hides, anything that's left over that there's no real human market for is going to wind up in the rendering plant. The rendering plant, their function is to take all those materials and make two products out of it, and that basically is a process of grinding it and cooking it and separating it. Separating it, as you all know, the grease or the tallow, it's what really called tallow, will separate from anything. When you cook it, it's light, it floats. So that's separated, that's sold as a separate product for many different uses. One is for pet food, okay? It's actually the fat source for dried pet food. It's also sold to companies who make soap. You know, they split the molecules, the oleic acids, the stearic acids, and things. They'll make soap, shampoos, and things like that. So there's a huge market for that one part of the product, which from the rendering plant, which is the tallows. Then what's left over, you've cooked the moisture out of it. So you only have, what do you have? You have three parts. You got the tallow, you got the moisture. What's left over? The meat and bone meal. That's dehydrated everything else. That's high in protein because of the meat, right? And that's the basis of dry foods. So, and there's nothing wrong with the whole process. It's just that what you put in is kind of what you're going to get out. So if you put in a good quality, if they put in animals that weren't fresh, for example, maybe sit in the field or something, however, it's sort of decaying. It's going to go through that process, but that's some plants, other plants, but you don't know. The answer is you don't know.
Wow.
Well, they have dedicated plants.
There are dedicated plants, yes, like a Tyson plant, for example, that does 1 million pounds of chicken a day. They're doing all the chicken and everything else that I'm talking about, those raw materials. They don't go out and pick it up. They just go into their own rendering plant. So what's coming out of there is chicken meal. And
when once it's a meal, then it's just powder.
It's great. Yeah, it's very fine.
Okay.
It's like a powdery, dehydrated substance, which is high in protein and calcium because of the bone, among other things, nitrogen.
So for this can right here, is this just this isn't solid though, right?
That one.
This is like
ground.
Yeah, there's no meal or anything like that. There's no rendered product and something like that. It's very similar. The turkey is turkey. It could be a drum, like a leg portion.
But is this actually made here?
Yeah, it's all new.
This is all made here.
Yeah.
I just find that amazing because just going back from a business stance, the dog food industry is so competitive. So that's cool to know. So here we are, Illinois-based company, right? Family-owned and operated, right?
But here's something even more
Yeah.
interesting. There's only a handful of us making the canned food, and that's it.
Really?
That's it.
Yeah, literally 1,000 brands of pet food. You have a small handful that make the canned
So there's not like hundreds of people that are making. No.
You have Nestle and Mars and
A little all
any
lost.
other.
Really? Will we say there's over 100?
No, there's less than 10.
Well, some Premier may make their own, but the other companies, there's 2 other companies that probably make 90% of all the canned foods.
Really?
For everybody. So you may have there may be, like Brett said, thousands of labels,
Right.
but what's inside is basically the same stuff
food.
for every other company. They're just putting their own label. That's their business.
Gotcha.
They private label. So here's a list of products that we make. Tell me which one you want me to make and supply me with your label. I'll slap it on there. And that's our competition. That's the marketing. That's what they do. They're called marketing companies. They're not really making anything.
Right.
They're marketing their product and they're trying to describe to the potential consumer how theirs is different than anybody else's. Well, it's an uphill battle because the reality is, except for ours, theirs isn't any different. Theirs is not any different than anybody else's.
Wow. I love so it's really, you really are like in a dog eat dog world.
I think we're definitely separated from the rest of the market. If marketing is difficult, we're small and we don't have the hundreds of millions of dollars to put into national advertising. So ours is more word of mouth and things like that. Maybe internet and those kind of things.
Right.
And that helps our business grow.
Wow.
You
I
know,
love it.
the other guys are doing a lot of marketing, because their marketing companies aren't manufacturing anything. And the reason they don't manufacture, it's difficult, it's very difficult. It's like they said, I mean, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this, nobody does, so it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Is
We
there one
did
of
not know what we were getting into, so.
No.
No.
Are there one of these we can take out the can so we can see?
Yeah,
the
here,
whole-
why don't you take out the chicken thighs?
Let's see these chicken thighs.
Because Joel takes
Are
the
there
animal
something,
to
do I
eat.
have to do in front of any camera particularly?
They're right here. This one right there.
Right here?
Yep.
That's gonna get your stuff up.
We're about to actually see.
And what I'm gonna do in this is just for, mostly for demonstration purposes, usually, maybe I should close it.
This is making one.
Alright, so this, let's see. Let me get closer so
You can eat
I'll
that.
see when the focus is. Even so this is like our whole hand-packed chicken thigh, which is exactly what it says. I need one of those. Chicken thigh in a can. So I'm gonna open this can up, but for demonstration purposes, because there's a whole chicken thigh and I want you to be able to see it, I'm just gonna pour the liquid, which is really what separates. This is really broth. This
Dogs
is
would
the
love
natural
that.
broth. I'm just gonna put that on the side for the moment, so you can see the actual
All that juice.
chicken thigh. So let me get this into the camera again. So, I gotta get this up here. So this is, I have to hold my hand, just like we would barbecue or cook in the oven.
That's a straight up
This
chicken
is
thigh.
just the whole chicken thigh, and this is a real interesting product because for you people that are watching, what I'm gonna do, as you all know, a chicken thigh, a whole chicken thigh, is gonna include
Bone.
what?
The bone.
The meat, the skin,
There's the
and
bone.
what else do we have here?
It's a bone.
It's the bone, it's a whole bone, right? And of course,
Now people are always concerned about dogs choking on bones.
there you go. That's what, this is, when I do my sales pitch, I mean, I will do a visual, natural, demonstration like this to a prospective store manager or something like that. And I will bring this out and they'll say precisely what you just said, well, what about that bone? Your dog's gonna, and I'll let them continue to talk and then I'll just kind of do this.
Wow,
And it's
that's
just,
crazy.
And basically it's almost like a magic act. I can
It
just,
just does not.
it's just totally gone. It turns into
Oh, wow.
mush. And that's the marrow and a little bit of calcium from the bone.
So then they can't.
Super safe.
That's
tasty.
safe for dogs of all. Can senior dogs have that then? Is that totally cool for any dog?
Yeah. No, it's perfectly safe and it's,
Now, can a dog eat too much of that?
well, they will eat too much of it, they like it, but,
Is there
I would
like
recommend
that's
it.
a whole so per can then is that then just is that like more of a snack or is that an actual meal?
No luxury meal.
Well, you can mix that with the dry, because that doesn't have any vitamins and minerals in it. But like this one, which is also hand packed, but it's against the grain line, this is another line that we own. That has the vitamins and minerals.
Well, everything has vitamins and minerals. We just don't supplement that one. So it's very
Would
healthy.
this be
but-
too rich for a dog though?
No, not at all. Oh,
If
so
it
much
was,
better.
if it was jumping from a dry food diet, to the McDonald's diet, to the Evanger diet, you might want to do it a little more slow, but, over a couple days time, it'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, you or I, if we were eating one type of food every day and then, we're in cereal one day or for a week, and then all of a sudden we go to eating a prime steak, gorging ourselves with it, that's just gonna be like
But
a big change.
for people that home cook, which is actually a lot more these days, for people that home cook, they could jump right into this.
This smells
Yeah.
good.
Look at Bill, kiss my hands.
I know.
It smells good.
Can't give it to him yet, because we've got our
We gotta
taste
taste
test coming.
test,
Oh,
yeah.
look at
Chick
it.
is going
You
nuts.
could take a little piece.
No, well, we got that taste test of,
So
So
we
we
have a
have
little taste of it. Get them tweaked.
we're testing dry food, that's what this whole thing
We're
is
running
about.
our,
I know it's going through people's minds though too. So if I go to the store and purchase this, I know different retailers that charge different stuff, but what should this
I
average?
think it's reasonable, considering what it is.
$3.50.
Maybe $3 a can, but
$3.50.
I don't know, Brett would know more than I would, but you have to understand what it is. When Brett talked about what's the value, well, how much does it cost? This is the same chicken thigh you buy in the store. There is no pet food grade chicken, chicken thighs. They don't grow chickens for pet food, they grow them for people. So what is chicken thighs cost in the store? $3 a pound?
Yeah.
Well, you're getting a pound right here.
Right.
right? And so this can sell for like $3. So you talk about, we've got the labor, the overhead,
So
the
we
can,
can
the
snack.
label.
Look at
There's-
Bentley.
There's other canned food, there's other
Bentley got
brands,
us like, what's that?
there's other brands that sell a loaf style for $3 a can. And it's like, but you can get this product for literally the same price
And we can do
because we make it.
and we even do some cans, because we are the manufacturer, like we said, there's only a handful of us making the food, so we're at least 30% lower than a lot,
The next brand, yeah.
95% of the people out there. So, yeah.
So what would you say then, because then a big concern though too, like Tyrone has a Rottweiler, an American Bulldog, and American Pit Bull. So those are all 3 big dogs.
Yep, we make a big can.
Oh,
Okay.
So, I mean, what you're concerned is the cost over?
Yeah,
On daily, well,
because I
you've
mean,
got
if
3
he's
dogs.
feeding 3 big dogs,
Well, he can mix it with the dry, he should,
I'm sure that's what he's doing, but, I mean, I'm sure he's saving for
We have a lot of different SKUs, formulas, styles, sizes of can. So there's better price points for, depending on what, the customer is looking for. Maybe they want more of a value-based product. Well, that's what this one is.
now can I go?
This, by the way, is ground, but it's ground back.
So how this is, can I mix them? Can I go rabbit with some chicken mixed in?
You
with
can do
some-
whatever you want.
You
People
can
are
do
$100
it with
per
some-
SKU.
like a buffet for the
We
girls.
do with some sweet potato.
That's good that's a high fiber, so that's good for diarrhea, if your dog is constantly having diarrhea or poop issues.
Okay.
Could be-
Oh,
And it's actually better than pumpkin.
Why is it better than pumpkin? Because I never heard
I know,
of
people
dogs sweet
think
potato.
it's
They
high
say pumpkin.
fiber, right, people.
More fiber.
And I usually
More fiber.
boil sweet potatoes for Bentley,
Right, those are Beauregard sweet
Okay.
potatoes,
Yeah,
they're
so-
sweeter, 'cause, some dogs won't. like
Yeah,
We actually get our sweet
Yeah.
potatoes fresh direct from the farmer.
okay.
So,
Really?
So you can go get some.
yeah.
Alright.
So you can actually mix, so I can go, hey, Bentley, you're about to have some rabbit
We need
mixed
all
in
that.
with some sweet potato and turkey milk.
Whatever makes you happy and your dog happy.
Yeah.
You can do.
So he can stop
So-
eating my food and he has his own, right?
So have you all, is this then, I guess just depending on the dog, then,
There's-
is this like once a day, is it twice a day? Do they eat?
You could feed that once a day to about anywhere from that would be, all that right there would probably be a 40-pound dog.
So my French is gonna be full then.
Twice, you feed them twice a day.
Well, you know
Well,
what,
That's daily. If you had a 40-pound dog, you would feed
50
half of
pounds.
that in the morning and half of that at night.
But you know what, it depends how active you like my dog,
But,
jog every day.
Depending on the age, activity level, the breed, metabolism. So there's a lot that goes into that we don't know that you would know, so you make.
Right, and if you were sitting there doing treats all day too.
Yeah. That makes
And that's
sense.
another thing, people feed a lot of the biscuit treats, which is basically dry food.
Right.
It's just it's not,
Yeah.
So, but I'm saying,
it wouldn't
the
touch my puppy.
a big concern with a lot of people though is that, could I just do can without kibble?
Yeah, so that's what we would feed our dog, okay? So our dog had three bowls. This is a little bit different, so we get a little bit more complicated. So we have a water bowl, we have a dry food bowl, and we were talking earlier about, and a lot of people will come in and say, oh, I buy canned food to make my dog eat the dry food. Okay, well, think about that statement for a second. I'm adding can to make my dog eat the dry.
Right.
Why do you have to why is he not going to eat it at the beginning?
That's me, so you're talking to me.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, there you go. Being real. But that's very
Yeah.
common. We'll hear that from a lot of people. So, but think about it. Why do you have to entice him to eat something that he should readily
Yeah.
want to eat? Okay. So, and my dog is, like I mentioned earlier, was very picky regarding dry food. And then he took the step up to can, and then he would certainly prefer the can. So that's why we had 3 bowls. So we had this bowl, we had a water bowl, and a dry food bowl. So water, of course, you change that twice a day, keep it nice and fresh, eat that, drink that at will. This would be 2 feedings a day, and we would actually mix it with the sweet potato or a vegetarian, which the basic ingredient of that is sweet potato with a lot of other fresh fruits and vegetables. And so we would mix those 2 together in one bowl. And then he would get a lot of vitamins and minerals and protein and the appropriate amount of fat and things like that. And that usually satisfying. Of course, he has his water. And if for some reason, assuming he doesn't have an overweight problem or something like that, there's a half a bowl of dry food. Well, my dog would almost never touch that dry food. I would say once a week he would eat about half that bowl while I was gone for whatever reason. I don't know what the reason was, but he would. But it was always available. So in case he really got hungry.
Yeah.
But this would usually satisfy him, that feeling that I talk about every day. So basically he would get something, my dog would get basically something like, this chicken thigh with a half a can of the vegetarian, all the same bone. Our vegetarian is fantastic. I mean, they eat that like they eat the meat product, because we make such a great
We
vegetarian.
need that. Because Bentley is like, if it's not the meats, I'm not eating it. So
So
hopefully.
because we sell in the whole industry buy so much dry, I mean, we, like I said, we
Right.
sell a lot more dry than we sell canned. But we came up with this high bio product, of course, not my
Oh.
idea, Joel's idea. So
I
go
like
ahead.
that. I don't
Such
think
a
you
cute
guys
bag.
you didn't have that packaging last time I
No,
was
it's
here.
brand new, it's just being launched.
Yeah, packaging is really nice.
Who came up with the packaging?
The graphic design.
I love that.
So, I talked about UConn.
We have all of we have a great graphic design, we have a great team where we have all the knowledge, we have all the ideas, but to have someone who could put it onto a
The only
display
thing
like
that
this.
you're missing though on here, what I would do is like.
Who's your dog at?
No, I have a picture of Toriano.
I knew he was gonna say that.
I knew he was.
Well, here we got it.
No, I had to.
I know it's always gets in there.
Well, we have right here.
Look, there you go.
Close. Close. Chelsea,
Yeah.
I need to talk to you about this.
This?
I need to get incorporated on there somewhere.
Somewhere
You know, we
about
put UConn on there before and just didn't work, because this is invented for
here.
UConn.
Right, and that's what I wanted to talk about a minute ago. So unfortunately, when I was speaking about my dog, he passed away a few years ago. But
It's 12 o'clock.
so basically, this was invented because of UConn. He
I love that.
unfortunately, he passed away, but he was very ill for a while. And like a lot of people out there in your listening land that have had dogs before that have passed away, at the end of life, they stop eating. Totally that's it. They just stop.
I like this bag.
And
And
then,
which it makes it unique too,
I'll
because
insist
some
it's out of my
of the
fridge.
bags that you carry around, you don't stick inside. So this is like everything, and then you open the bag and it's half what you paid for, half the bag is like,
What?
so this is really good.
What
We wanted to show the product,
Yeah.
because it's a unique
Yeah.
product, it's not a kibble.
Now, what about Tyrone? He has a 12-year-old dog. What's
is
good for a
perfect for him.
12-year-old?
is it starting to like not have an appetite? He's getting more picky or what?
Well, no, that's one thing, she has an appetite. Like, I have never seen the appetite thing.
Sounds healthy. I mean, I'll keep doing what you're doing. I mean, but this is still a great food for, now, I'll explain the benefits of this. This looks similar maybe to a kibble,
Right.
but it's really totally different. A kibble is really a high starch carbohydrate derived food, typical kibbles that everybody buys. And why is it a high starch carbohydrate? It's because it's made through a piece of equipment called an extruder. And that's why they come out like a puff, because the starch, the carbohydrates goes through the extruder, which is a high pressure pump basically, and creates a reaction like food. That's why they all look like Cocoa Puffs. And we eat Cocoa Puffs. It's the same
You
extruder.
say Cocoa Puffs?
Well, that's not this. That's what I'm saying. That's what people are used to. So those products have high starch because that's what the equipment requires. And that's a problem in itself. If you have a piece of equipment, if you're selecting your ingredients because this is the only thing that the equipment can accept, there's something wrong with that picture too. So, and that equipment again only uses high starch carbohydrates to create that reaction. Well, so now you've got a high starch carbohydrate. Usually, it could be grains or like potato, things like that. That's why those dry foods are like that now. But this is meat-based. Although this may look similar.
This is meat-based?
You can't put meat in an extruder. Very little. You can only put a little bit of meat in an extruder because it's wet. You can't put any moisture in there. So they use meat meals like we talked about earlier because it's dry and that'll go through the extruder, but not the fresh meat. That won't do it. It doesn't create the reaction. So that's what this is. So this is really like jerky. okay, it's really jerky treat, but made into a food. So what's the difference there? Well,
We had these before.
right,
I read the bags of those for training.
Got them from. But I know Petco doesn't sell them.
No.
I read the bags of those for training.
We've had these.
We used to always have, I read the bags of those, have the bags for
Yeah.
training, the dogs love them.
These can be you can use these as treats.
I know,
yes,
I know. It's
they are
like-
treats,
Yeah.
but they're also food.
Yeah, the dog thinks it's a treat, but it's a complete diet. It's a high meat content, has some fruits and veggies, pro and prebiotics, proteinated minerals.
Is this coming out yet?
It is out.
Like, right now, it's on.
It takes us so long to make.
No, I'm saying, but is this out in the market yet?
Yes, but it takes us a long time to make, so we don't really push it at all.
So what about the people that's listening and they're like,
Oh,
We
yeah.
make enough that we, I mean, if we were trying to sell as much as Nestle's, we could never make that much.
My Frenchie.
So the
Okay,
answer is,
fine.
at your independent local pet store who's doing right now curbside pickups and often free home delivery, just ask them for this and they can get it.
okay.
Any independent pet store, but not Petco.
Difficult.
It's called High Bio, which is short for High Biological. You guys missed the fun part, which is how you came up with this in the first place. Joel, my dad, work Italian Joel. He's feeding our dog Yukon, who you met, bags of treats at a time. And Holly, the health nut's like getting really, see her
Stop eating
already,
the
like
treats.
physical.
Yeah, because the association is treats is candy, but like when you feed a child a treat, here's a cookie, well, that's not,
This food came out
This
of
is-
Holly's anger for treats.
this is not.
You're like, stop
But
eating
treats,
treats.
the right kind of treat for a dog
And it's like, where
is
did
not
you-
negative, okay, it's positive.
So you created the ultimate treat food.
Exactly.
So this can either be considered, so we can use this as, this is a nice big bag.
Yeah.
So what?
Right, and
how much
treats
does this
are
cost?
love.
What's the
So you can take this and you can mix it in with the regular dry food too, and don't forget, problem with that is your dog is smart, and he's gonna pick out those pieces and leave the dry food
We
behind.
should actually do that in a test. We should put a little bit of the High Bio into the kibble and see if Bentley picks
Well,
it.
yeah, put it down there and put down the.
Let's do our taste test.
There you go.
All right, listening audience, now we're gonna segue over to the moment of truth. We're gonna put, what foods do we can't say the food. We
Yeah,
just order
sure.
bags.
No, yeah, I don't wanna get, it's a.
A high-end boutique kibble
We're going high-end boutique kibbles. It's
Versus
like the
high-
barrel roll of dog foods right now.
versus High Bio.
Here, okay. So we have, what do we test? So we have something in the gold bowl that we won't say.
Don't say, but you
Don't
can
say.
show what it looks like and they can probably figure it out maybe.
All right, wait,
They
hold
all
on.
look the same.
Look at this, so for the listener audience, we won't say what it is. That's food A. And what's food B?
High
Wait,
Bio. Now it's gonna pour it into the other gold bowl.
are you gonna do it? Are you
I'll do it.
You are Vanna White.
Sure.
Chelsea's gonna put the high and
Let me- that way she doesn't want him going.
Who am I showing this to?
No, wait,
All right.
wait,
Vanna White style.
wait, or no, we're not using.
No, you're doing dry.
That's not dry.
All right.
This dry. Show it, so
So it pours out just like kibble, which is the nice thing.
Wait, so we're only doing two?
somebody didn't bring any more. I'm not buying my,
Yeah.
I don't buy dry
All
food.
right,
Why
there you
don't
go.
you put these in there for next to me?
Well, it's
Give
not
it a try. We're gonna see what Bentley goes for.
No, you may prefer,
Can we test this? No.
What? No,
No.
Just do one gold versus gold.
just do
Hey,
dry
Rusty.
food. That is a great dry food for, I mean, it does very well in the market. And
This is what he eats, but we're not gonna test out what
we
he eats.
eat, yeah, I mean.
Oh, look at what he's doing. He'll let you know. He'll let you know.
That might be skewing to use it regularly, but we can try.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's start with the High Bio first, A versus B, put that down, and then we'll add the third one to it.
All right, let's make it fair. So that's, this is what I brought, in one name. This is that. Right. So Chanel, you go back there.
Want me to unleash them?
No. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look at that.
Yeah, it could be more.
I'm so happy with my camera action.
Kind of good.
Wait, hold on. Oh, wait, hold on.
Sit. Sit. Sit back. You hungry?
gotta make sure it's in the camera frame.
It's probably in the best shape though.
That one that you put in there is a treat, actually. It's ours, but
That is.
it's made different. It's not made, well, they're all made.
I put it
One's
right
extruded, one is, let's see these.
You gotta wait, that's it.
Wait, does Bentley have a command? Eat command?
You just say Jesus.
Just let them go.
So you know, sit there and wait.
Jesus was the first.
Let them go. Let's see what you got. Go, Ben, go.
Oh, that's a smart dog.
Where do you go, Swer?
Got some snacks.
That was the right answer, Bentley.
Got some snacks.
Not going for anything else.
That means.
So he has his regular everyday
And that's a
food. He
freeze
has a
dry, that one's a
high-end.
freeze dry product, which is
Look at
very
that.
palatable.
Good boy.
Bentley right now is not eating his regular scheduled food.
So that means we're gonna have to take him back home, guys.
Yep.
Because now he's not even looking at his food.
Let me see what-
Mom.
That's a good boy, good smart.
You get beat.
And Bentley is picky, you said.
He's very picky.
So
And
let me
usually-
just show you so they can see what it looks like. So this is a freeze dried,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll just do it.
this is extruded, and this is high bio.
Which is dehydrated.
That's a good boy, come here.
And then I can put down
The
the.
high bio is dehydrated with low heat,
Much pressure.
so it retains
Stand by him.
almost all of the, yeah, keep going.
That's a good boy, come here.
Say what it is.
Maybe he's nervous.
All right. So you have three different products. One is a freeze dried, which
That's
most people know what that is. The other one's extruded, which I was explaining a little bit earlier, where it's a high pressure process.
And that one's a raw, and this one's actually dehydrated, so it makes it more tender, and it's gonna kill any potential pathogens as well.
So this is
More
low,
digestible as well.
So why do you think you went for your food? What's in there?
low heat. Pure meat.
Yeah, meat content and some fruits and some veggies, and there's different parts. There's liver. There's
And basically, out of those three, the one with the highest moisture content is the high bio.
Yeah.
It's like a jerky, and that's the hard part of making that food, is where you can, leave a lot of the moisture, which is palatable, it helps with the texture, to leave that moisture in there, and then still have a good product that doesn't mold. You have to control that mold because you have a high moisture content. And that's not easy to do, but that's what makes it a great food.
That's number two.
Well, and let me just tell you, this is 20 to 25% moisture. This is about 8%, and this
And
one's.
the same
let
thing.
me add about that moisture content, which is really important. So what happens is if a dog or a person or a cat eats something with low moisture, they're not gonna extract the nutrition from it if it's very
Wait, why doesn't he
low
like his
moisture.
own food right now? What's happening?
And Billy likes his food mixed. So this is like great. Like we have to mix it with like meat, and he likes wet food, so.
Cause
the
he's
fact that
smart.
the fact that he's eating the.
Well, again, the moisture content's important to you because you're getting a bigger bang for your dollar, because when Bentley's eating something that has a 5% moisture content, he's not extracting a lot of value as far as nutrition out of that until he rehydrates it in his system. He can't rehydrate it all. So half of it's just gonna go right through his system without any benefit. The high value is prehydrated, so he's gonna start extracting almost all the nutrition, and he'll have a lot less poops.
Very like you thought it'd be
From high value.
everybody's like telling you go ahead.
He's like his mom behind the scenes.
He's getting too much attention there, but at least he's behind the high
It's
value.
like, why is everybody looking? Good boy.
A lot of pressure on Bentley
He's
there.
like, this is good though. It's good.
Okay, well, we're done. We're done. You can go take a nap now.
Good boy.
What happens if I put this
Good job.
line in there?
You've done your job for today.
That is, all right.
Are we done?
Let's just conclude our program here. Sorry, everyone sit back down. Chelsea, lady, jump in the picture before you.
I will. I'm just gonna take a picture of Bentley and his choice. Bentley?
We'll change the domain to Bentley's choice.
Yeah, Bentley's choice.
Bentley's choice.
I like that. That's a cute name. Bentley's choice. I'm looking more fascinated if he ate his own food.
It's like, what, mom?
Let me tell you, when you do your training, you have that, this training.
Yeah.
It'll be very effective.
So I want to try that on my son, the high bio. The high bio.
How about we put this down next to the three and then see if it goes to that and instead of,
Let's put that down there.
The meats.
there, so we're gonna, Bentley's gonna get some of that chicken thigh, well, this one, the chicken thigh seems to be his favorite.
Yeah.
Now, is that like a no-brainer all the time?
It's a no-brainer every single time.
Yeah. I think it's a hands-down favorite between all three of the others.
That's a good boy.
Would you eat cornflakes without the sugar? No.
Or Coco's without the puffs. Okay. Gently.
So you were asking earlier, Chanel, about is this like a luxury food? For our dogs, it's an everyday food. Bentley would love it to be an everyday food, but some people do use it periodically. Whatever works for your lifestyle, really.
Okay.
But in terms of his overall nutrition, he would thrive. All pets would thrive on canned food.
Yeah.
Yeah, his coat's gonna get shinier, skin's gonna get moist, and he's not gonna shed. And again, his skin his coat's just gonna get shinier, and he's gonna have a lot more vitality with the right kind of food, you know. And it has to have moisture in it, and it has to have a fat content to it for the coat and the skin.
Yeah.
And that's where those two products far exceed any of the other.
A lot of the fatty acids and the DHA, the omega-3, 6, that's all part of fatty acids. That's all in the fat.
This sounds like better than what humans are eating.
Well, it is.
Well, we
It
put
kind
more-
of is.
I think we
Better
put
than
more
what
thought
I'm
into
eating,
it.
that's for sure.
This is all, reviewed by AFCO for nutritional compliance. So it is better. I mean, you can go as a person, eat whatever you want and not get all of your nutrition. Nobody's looking over that, but AFCO looks over the pet food to make sure that it's all, nutritionally balanced.
I have a marketing idea. You should have like a dog that's like human grade, but like for your dog and your person. So it should be called Wolf and Man.
Are you saying you want to make your own dog food?
No, I just want to go the cover of a dog food bag.
Yeah.
I want to be
I would say essentially that's what this is.
Yeah, that would be an
I want to be found in a bag. Wolf and Man.
You both eat
Look
your
at you,
dog.
like, putting on
With my shirt off.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions from your viewers that need answers?
Let's
You
see.
weren't even checking for
I'm not even checking that.
You're involved.
We're too involved. Chelsea, you're supposed to be in charge of that.
So there were some comments about like the bone and that Rachel Phelps said, are we still on?
Yeah.
Rachel Phelps, a couple things.
Chelsea, you pull that down a little bit, you're kind of muffled. I don't want you to get something like.
We also use the high bio as treat rewards for training, so we aren't filling them up with treats, but they're dinner. And Rachel also says she thinks the bone is the dog's favorite part, and it's about the only time they can eat bone safely. And Greg Lyons says he has a dog, Sophie. He uses the canned food, and he, particularly the hunga beef and braised beef, he has to heat the food before serving the dog his dinner, but he uses the canned food.
Rachel Phelps, isn't that the famous Preston dog?
Yeah, she has a celebrity dog, Preston Speaks.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Dog influencer.
That is awesome.
Glad to know that Preston feeds up.
High bio too.
Right. I wonder if Greg Lyons tried the high bio.
Well, Wolfkeeper University, we are committed. We're going to be carrying all of the Evangers lines. You can go to our website, Wolfkeeper U. Chelsea lately is going to be helping us with that whole food selection. I want to thank everyone, the Evangers family. Like, Chelsea, get over there, get in that picture, get in that frame.
Okay, that's fine. I was behind the scenes.
Scooch down, Brett. The Evangers family from. Man, you all commitment towards food and that was, I mean, if there's a bigger reason to get it other than because a lot of things I think people are thinking wow, there's hundreds of these plants, but to know that there's not even hundreds, there's not even 50. There's
Not even 10.
There's not even, yeah, there's
Not
maybe
even
5.
Not even
Which I like to always say, shout out to just everyone in Illinois, because we have some of the top pet professionals. I'm one dog trainer on the planet, one food on the planet. I mean, next week we're interviewing actually I need to talk to them about the food, Master Gypsy and Lori Berg, who created the Canis Panther, a dog that you can only find in Kankakee, Illinois. That's world renowned. They started the breed back in the 70s. So yeah, you have to research that. So there's so there's tons of things that are very unique to Illinois that are national, international. You all being one of them. I want to thank you all, and you're at all boutique, most boutique.
So we have a store located on our website, evangerspetfood.com, so you can find out which store, take this off just for the purpose of speaking. You can find out which store is local to you that carries our products, or can special order our products for you. And then, so most independent pet stores, your neighborhood pet store, they really appreciate the business right now, especially, and they'll deliver it to you as well.
And then you can buy your variety too. You've over 100 different cans.
Support local, support local.
Are you online?
Yeah, so go to our website, evangerspetfood.com.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I'm Toriano Sanzoni, the Wolfkeeper, and I will see you all next week for another amazing. I can't believe it's Friday already.
Friday.
Peace and love to everyone.
Peace and love.
Thank you all so much. See you all next week. Yay.
You know what? We might be interested in this. Charlie's probably open to like 30 years. We should open them up to take them all home. Because they're in trouble.
I want to take some photos before we go.
Go feed your dog great food. Chanel, your nails in the house. Finally. That's a wrap.